hoovered up by some of these top collectors will just pay, crazy money for it. So I think there's an opportunity, and I think that what I kind of mentioned in my talk is they're opportunity coins, and that there might actually be a pedigree. Maybe they haven't really looked or found it yet.
What I like is your optimism. We had a wonderful Greek coin we bought at an M&M list in the 1990s for about 1,200 Swiss francs, which we sold now for booming 200 euros, which is quite typical in my opinion. Because when you have...
Where was it sold?
It was sold on a private basis because for auction sale it wasn't interesting anymore. And I have the feeling with Roman bronze coins, without pedigree, the typical wear of the 19th century where you do not have a pedigree, but where you have the typical working traces of the 19th century, which were sold for very high prices in the 1990s. What do you get now for them?
Well, the problem with Roman bronzes, and this is for me, this is very frustrating, is that Roman bronzes, a lot of them, they might have these really, as she was saying, really illustrious pedigrees going back to the 1920s or whatever, but I would say up until, I don't know, maybe the 60s or something like that, it was kind of acceptable to tool a coin, whereas now it's completely, you just wouldn't do it. It really cuts the value, no pun intended, but you wouldn't do that now. And those coins still are important coins. They're still marketable in my opinion, but it's just very difficult. And it depends on the collector that's buying it and their openness to understand the times and that they've changed, because previously having buying a tool coin was perfectly acceptable, made, great hammers, and now it's, it's kind of frowned upon. So you have to understand the way the market has evolved, and you have to either accept it and, be all in, because we don't want those coins to be kind of thrown to the side and considered unworthy, because they're not.
So next question. When my friend has a collection of Greek fractions, that's a good deal?
Depends if it's, again, I think fractions are I love fractions personally. I think they're great. They're like little canvases of art, and I'm very impressed by them, but I think that Greek fractions, you need to package it, like the Denise Baron, which...
Thinking of that sale.
Yeah, that sale was, Nomos had this sale and it was gangbusters. They did, there were crazy hammers, but again, it was kind of, all you need are two very vigorous and rigorous people bidding against each other, and that's kind of was the situation there. There were a few people that were really bidding quite high. I think fractions generally, if it's not a collection, if it's kind of piecemeal, then no, I don't think that they do great. If it's a collection that is, packaged well, like the Baron collection was, then yeah, it'll do well.
My next question goes to Falk, because I have the feeling that explains completely why we do not buy tooled Roman sesterces anymore for high prices, but we will certainly buy fractions for much, much more than in the 1990s. And I think it's not Shanna who is able to answer that, but Falk. You were talking about the people who have the coins of you in your hand. How many of your clients do you think still see the coins they are buying from you?
So if I have a look how, especially modern coins are sold today, it's significantly high share of online. It's online, big online shops. So yes, you have trade shows like here, and you do have retail shops. But honestly, I think believe 80-90% of the modern coins are sold online. which is a big challenge, as I mentioned before, because people cannot touch it and feel it and see it and understand the magic of the coin. So that's it's a big deal. It's important that the customers understand the coin, and it's difficult if it's done online. But let's face reality.
So how much time do you invest in taking the photos of your coins?
There's a colleague in my team, his name is Bruno. Bruno, he's taking pictures of coins since 20 years. He's probably one of the best in the business. He's a full-time job, so all coins, when we ever get a sample, we at CIT, we say, we do not show models and designs, we show the real coins. So whenever we get a sample, he's going into his studio for hours and just taking pictures of the coin, and then you have to deal with reflections and you need to figure out. But it's well invested time, because the better the pictures, and Philip can confirm it, the better the pictures and videos or whatever you have, the better our sales partner can sell it, the better the collector can understand the coin. So I think it would be wrong decision to cut the investment in just showing designs and poor pictures. It's like if you go to a restaurant and if you have no clue about the food and you have wrong pictures of the food, you will leave the restaurant. So it's like that.
So when we just think about what makes the internet with a fraction, it makes the fraction exactly as big as the tetragram. And I think that the internet is one of the reasons why the fractions are now sold for horrible prices. And the other point is, it's the same with tooling. Tooling, seen through a little lens or with the open eye, you don't see it. But in the internet, you see it completely different. So the internet has changed completely our view on the coins. We don't sell coins anymore, we sell pictures. Shanna, you are known for extensive viewing the coins of auction sales. Would you say there's a difference between pictures and coins?
I would, and I think that it's a shame. One of the ways that I, when I went into my own business, the ways I started was doing auction representation, and a lot of people, and this was pre-COVID obviously, a lot of people would come to me because I would go to the auction house. Before the auction, I would view the coins. I would give them, the real insight in what the pros and cons were of that coin. If there was tooling, if there were, scratches, if there was things on the edges that you maybe couldn't see, and it was really well thought upon. Somebody that would do auction representation. Now, fast forward after COVID, it's really changed. I think people. Collectors generally believe, most collectors that I talk to generally believe that they don't need to view the coin in hand. They can just look at the photo and they have a good indication. They don't need somebody like me who they have to pay 5% of the hammer to do that work. I think that generally speaking, it most of the time will work out. You could do it, but I think that it's a shame because. And then you see that proliferation also of a lot of auction houses and a lot of coins. There's auction, before we had like spring and fall auction time periods. And then you had, breaks in between. But now you have constant auctions. Every day there's one or two auctions. Look on 6bid or Numisbids and you will see a listing of constant auctions. And I do a weekly newsletter. I can't even keep up. I can't keep up. I can't write about these auctions because there's too many of them, and a lot of them, frankly, aren't worth it. So I think that to answer your question, I think it's important for viewing. I don't think it's always important, and of course, like if you are bidding on a coin that is, a few hundred euros, or pick your currency, it's probably fine. to look. You don't have to have somebody like me, but if you're talking about a coin that's, you know, $500,000 US, you might want to invest that 5% and have somebody like me go and view it, because things are not always visible on photograph, even though it looks like it is.
Philip, do you think that, I forgot, we have a new member in our circle. I'm very sorry. Philip Becker from Podium in Hamburg, he joined us in order to bring, because we have now the representative of, I wouldn't call you a mint, but you are a coin editor. That's okay for you? That's okay for you. We have a coin dealer for ancient coin, and here we have a coin dealer for modern coin and early modern coin with an auction house. So we have another voice that can help us to understand why the coins have become so expensive. And Shanna already told us about the pedigrees. I wanted to ask her at that point, but she was better. She came, she already informed us that the pedigree is a big, big issue concerning price. In early modern times and contemporary, what role provenances are playing? Do they play any role?
In modern coins it's very different, so it doesn't play any role in modern coins. We are more talking about mintages, about what makes a coin special in modern coins. Is it design? Is it a new technique? These things are very interesting. Yeah, that's important.
So what's about the influence on the gold price? Does the gold price have an influence on coins?
Oh yes, of course. I think as we have seen some movements in the past in the gold price, it was in the news magazine, it was an every news, so we have an excitement in the population about it, and it makes interesting, of course, gives interest to the industry. So people are getting more interest in gold, in collecting or investing. And then we have both groups here. We have the collectors who are excited about a nice coin, about a nice series. And of course we have the investors with all the crises we have around. People are investing in gold to have more security.
Is the silver price also of any importance when it comes to the coin price?
It depends. Often people say there's a good silver ratio, so therefore, as I say, the potential of silver is much higher than gold. So if you see the good silver ratio, it's really true that the potential of silver is even stronger than gold. But it's again the question: do you believe in silver or not? So there are people who say, I only buy gold, that's it. And there are people they say, I take also the silver. So it depends on which group are you talking to.
There has been a statement that when gold is high, the coin prices are high too.
Mm-hmm.
Would you support that?
Yes, again, if you are talking about investment coins, of course, yes, but there are also collectible coins. If you have a nice collection, a nice series, it doesn't really affect the price of the coin. It affects more. Is it a special coin? Is it something special? Is it a new technique? That is more important.
Shanna, would you agree?
Ask the question again to me.
When you have high gold prices,
Oh.
because people are looking for a safe harbor, will the coin prices also be higher like normal? As normal?
I think in the collectible market, no, not so much. Like the ancient coin collectible market. I think that when the price of gold is on the increase, what you can say is that people are probably losing faith in the stock market, and then it will affect the ancient coin industry, because then people are wanting to diversify. And so buying ancient coins is a way to diversify. I, like you have mentioned, you said this in your presentation, for me, the word investment is a bad word. I don't use that word with my customers. And if they use that word with me, I usually say, it's fine if you want to buy for investment, but please do not, come back and, and be angry with me when you go to try to sell your coin a few years down the road and you lose money. Because if you're buying in the auction market, you're paying a buyer's premium and you're bidding against other people. So inevitably, you're probably going to pay more than what you would get if you were, buying that from a private deal. So I do think that there is some, that it does, when gold prices are up, it just kind of secondarily affects the ancients market. But I think the ancients market is kind of special in its, it has like a special bubble, and there's a lot of different, just like Falk said, like in his presentation, there's a lot of different kinds of buyers and why they buy. And the ancient market is also like that in the same way. There's a lot of similarities there, but it does, it is also a little bit special in that you have really, really intense collectors who are there no matter what it costs.
I would like to add one aspect is, if you see how the cost of the coin is, you have material and then you have the cost for the tooling and designing and packaging. This remains. It doesn't matter if the gold price is here or here. This one is always on top. That means if the gold price is here, you put that one on top, the total price of the coin is higher. And then we face, from the sales point, a situation where is the collector able or willing to pay that price? It's not that we make more money, so Philips and CIT is not making more money if the gold price rises. So it's just, it's more challenging because there is a certain value where the collector says, well, first I need to pay the rent, I need to get my refrigerator stuff, and then he said, this coin, 1 ounce is that price, and then, it's not because we making so high margin, it's because the material, which is 80–90% of the whole coin value, is getting higher. So I think, from my point of view, if the price of the precious metal rises, the price of the modern numismatic coin rises because it's a high share of the overall loss.
Yeah. That's absolute. I can absolutely say it's absolutely true, and that's the way you explained it very well. So yeah.
So let's ask the collectors here. Do you have a strict concept of collecting? So you only buy a coin that is completely in the range you are collecting? Who has?
Can you define range? Budget or?
No, yeah.
Roughly, or?
You are collecting the coins of Caracalla. So now you have a coin of Septimius Severus show up and it's a decent pricing. So wouldn't you buy it or would you buy it?
My personal take always is you need quite a bit of info to buy a coin, and it's impossible to know info on every single coin. Ancients, I love them, I don't touch them because I just don't have the time and capacity to learn about them.
So what you are collecting? So
I collect Iranian coins because I know Farsi. I have access to very, very big heavyweights who collect coins. So to go back to your earlier point, every time something comes up on auction, I ask the auction house to send me a video, which NAC Swiss branch, the Milan branch didn't when I asked them. Swiss branch does it, that helps with the size issue, that helps with the details issue, Hardenberg does it too. Then I get second opinions on it, then I bid on it based on my budget. So I think info matters a lot, so I do go rogue. That's when the grading helps me, because I just don't have the eyes for non-Iranian coins.
But you're not really going rogue, I would say. You're cutting somebody like me out, but that's okay because you're taking the initiative and the steps to learn about that coin and to ensure that there are less issues. So I think that I'm not advocating necessarily for people to work with somebody like me for auction representation. I just want people to understand that you have to do, it's not just simply looking at the coin on the internet and that's it. There's more to it, especially if you're investing, I'll use that word for this.
I absolutely think people have to use dealers, especially when it comes to Greek coins and a certain value above. Even for the dealer, a dealer cannot deal with so many $100 coins. And there's just so much information. The person who has a full-time job cannot retain that much information.
Absolutely, and I'm to be perfectly frank with you, there's not a lot of people that do what I do, because what I do is I try to stay very neutral. I do have an affiliation with Numismatic Ars Classica, but people sometimes confuse my relationship with them. They think that I am an employee of Numismatic Ars Classica, but I am a conduit from them to the U.S. collector so that they can import their coins easier, so that they can pay in U.S. dollars. But I have no input, and I don't receive any information on their consigners.
I think we should go back to our topic.
Yeah, sure.
Other question, would you buy something just because it's cheap? Collectors among you. Would you buy something just because it's cheap and you can sell it somewhere else for more money?
All the time. All the time.
And I think you are very typical for a
All
collector.
the time. I don't like the era of the coin.
I think because we are always praising ourselves as collectors, but it's a lot about the fun of getting a cheap coin and being aware that it's more worth. Or wouldn't you agree?
Look, people these days pay for quality, so I don't think you can buy anything good cheap.
I think you are in a very, very good. Why do people buy quality?
It's rare by definition.
Quality is rare. And what
I
does
think
that
with
mean?
ancient, the artistic aspect creeps in too. It's not just the quality.
Mostly quality.
Again, it's a combination.
Yeah, that's why you need the dealers, because they can advise you on the artistic aspect.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think just going cheap, people just don't appreciate it. It's just worn out and stuff. Yeah, you have to sell in volumes to make good money on it. Yes,
Yeah.
if you're a dealer. But
You're temporary holders of, my father always says that, you're a temporary holder of that coin. And at some point, you or your children or your grandchildren will sell that coin. So I always tell people, buy quality. Buy quality over quantity. It will serve you in the end because you will sell that coin eventually.
But tell me, since when is quality an issue in numismatics, in collecting?
I mean, it just depends on the collector. But
No, it depends on the time.
I don't know about that.
It's quality, the issue of quality is something that has appeared after the boom of the 1970s. Perhaps you remember that before, first of all, it was very, very difficult to obtain quality coins because you couldn't buy at the internet, you didn't have a lot of possibilities to choose your coins from. You went to the dealer in the city and he had a stock, and from there you would choose the coins. I once had the privilege of getting the collection of a very famous Swiss industrial person. Lots of money. It was a collection that was very interesting because there were really, really perfect coins next to coins that were just rubbish. He bought both. So until the 1970s, nobody was interested in quality. And then in the 1970s, we had this boom of coin collecting where everybody started to invest in coins because the dollar was loosened from the gold standard. And so we had a big boom, people were buying everything, people were buying every quality just because they saw that the pieces they had seen a year ago were double the price than a year ago. And then we had in the 1980s, when the hunts went down, we had this dive in the prices of coins, of all coins. And at that point, people realized that those coins that had a perfect quality stayed up a little bit higher in price, and those who had a bad quality, whoosh, so they lost immense money. And that was the point when the grading institutes came in.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's the point because a lot of people were very, very disappointed in the 1970s because they wanted to invest in coins. They invested in the wrong coins because the quality of the coins they bought were not looked for at the markets. So I think that's a very important point to keep aware that the quality was of no importance
Until a certain point.
before the 1980s.
Okay.
And we make now a religion of the quality of coins because high quality is rare. And because NGC and PCGS tell us that we should take care of the quality. And they help us with a lot of things like their price lists in the internet, with the cooperation with Graysheet, which is like the DAX, like a stock market index. And I think that's the reason why the American market is now completely different than the European market. I guess, Philip, you know about the Graysheet, and could you explain to our guests here what the Graysheet is and a little bit about the background, why in the US the coin collecting is such a big issue in investing?
The Graysheet is a wonderful tool to have, not only for a collector, also for a dealer, because it gives you an idea of what is the value of the coin. And that's why it's called Graysheet, because it's not an official value. It gives you an idea. But in the end, you have to trade it. So you have to see: is it true? Is it the correct price on the market, on the table? But not only the collectors, also the dealers. They go for the Graysheet. It gives, for example, for the $1 US silver coins. It gives you a very good indication of the value of the coin. So yeah, it's a very helpful tool.
And I guess it's also divided into grades. So
yes, of course, yeah. Of course, there's the grading there, and the better the grade is, the better the price, of course. And it gives you a very good idea of what weight gives you which trading.
how much experience does an American investor in US coin need when he is buying only graded coins?
To be honest, it's quite easy. You do not need a graded experience, and this is much tougher in Europe because we don't have this grading. We still like the rare coin, which is also nice because in Europe people like to touch the coin. They like to feel it, they like to have it in their hand. The American, they need certificates and have a nice grade on it. They trust the grade. What also is very good when you're grading, you can be very sure, and you have a certificate that it's a real coin, a true coin. So this is something which is getting, I think, more and more important nowadays and in the future.
So I think it's also important to be aware that in the US investment is a part, perhaps Shanna, you can tell me about the way in the US somebody is taking care for his or her retirement? What do they do? Because here we get our state pensions. What it is like in the US?
I'm very afraid for the people in the US, to be honest, because a lot of people haven't planned for retirement, and they're living on credit. And so I honestly, I mean, I know how I'm planning. I make sure my bills are paid. I don't exceed my my credit card limitations too much, and I don't buy on credit. I buy when I have the money for it. But I tell you, most people aren't like me in the United States.
Yes, but imagine you were a very responsible person and you would like to have rest. So you need to invest for yourself in order to have enough money when you become old. Isn't it like that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because for us that's not normal.
Okay. Yeah, because you feel like you have. I mean, I'm familiar with how the German government works a little bit. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely. I think there's a lot of uncertainty in the U.S. right now with things like that, and there are some of the people that I work with, some of the collectors. They are buying high-end coins as a type of diversification for down the road when they want to, when they need the money. My stock is my retirement. I tell people that all the time. My stock is my retirement because the money that I've earned, at least for the first, 6 or 7 years that I was in business on my own, went directly into buying stock because I had, a handful of coins at the beginning, and now I have, I don't even know, 700 or something like that. So that's my retirement.
I think that's one very, very important thing we should keep in mind, that since the 1970s, we do not only compete among us collectors, but also with investors. And Falk, what would be an ideal object for an investor market? What would it look like? Could you describe the price, the materials? What would you design not for a collector but for an investor market?
So as Philip already said, I think the investor is not interested in technique and quality, just want to make money. I think an ideal product for investor would be something which is special, high share of precious metal, a low vintage. I think that because it's like the handbag of Hermes or special Rolex. So I think vintage is important. I think the rarity. I think that's important. That an investor can say, in the worst case, I can sell precious metal. In the best case, it's because of low vintage, high quality, it raises value. I think so.
Philip, would you agree?
Yes, absolutely. I would agree. It is important to have the precious metals also, but also about vintage, about having it rare, about new technique, and we also have to look, and we do take care of the secondary market, and I know that you do it very carefully, that people see, and you have a series, that last year's the coin has been improved in pricing, and when people see this, they like to collect it, and they see the value behind it.
And just for example, we feel responsible for the collectors. So if we make a coin vintage 500 and it sells like crazy, it would be easy to say, okay, come, the next one we make 2,000, we make more. No, we as CIT don't do that. Because if you buy a coin 500 pieces, the next edition is 2,000, you feel cheated. So I want you to buy the next edition because it's also just 500. So this is a kind of moral or responsibility for the second market. I know that there are other companies, they just get greedy, make quick money, but we feel responsible because we want that people also in 10 or 20 years say, yes, I bought this time CAT coin, and I would always do it again because I can trust them that they keep their standards.
I think we are at a point that is very important to many, many collectors. I guess you all expect your coins at least to keep the value, to go a little bit up or down, but to have a value. I have done research on the 19th century, and even before, what happened when you sold a coin collection. In most cases, you were losing a lot of money, because at that point, only the best and by far best collections in the world were going to auction sales, where you would get a market price. Most of the coins were sold to a local dealer for the price he or she was willing to pay to you, which meant as the dealer had to plan for a long period of selling the coins, he couldn't give you the true value, but he had to give you a very, very low value. And this means that you mostly had a big, big loss. And this also changed in the 1970s, when suddenly a lot of additional auction houses popped up. Many auction houses were founded in the 1970s. And this was a completely new clientele that was looking for new collectors and was selling their collectors. And in the 1970s, we had a period of transition. So we had these big auction houses that were selling collections, but we still had a lot of companies that had a big stock and were selling from the big stock. And then came the digital photos, which made catalog production much, much cheaper. And suddenly, you had a lot of new people coming into the market. And the next step was the internet.
And don't forget, which is very important, the auction houses also, they really, really changed in the way that they cater to the sellers. Before, you always had to, it was just certain you would pay a seller's premium if you sold your coins in auction, always. Usually it would be 10 to 15% at the minimum. And then the auction house would make money on the buyer's side because they would charge a buyer's premium, and that started to slowly creep up. And now we're typically between 20 and 25% buyer's premium in the ancient coin market. But what started to happen, and I think in the US market, and it affected the European market, when I talk about auctions, I'm mainly talking about the US and European, because that's where the majority of the coin auctions are happening for my area. The auction houses started to offer the sellers no seller's commission, so zero, and sometimes they would start to offer a portion of buyer's premium. And that is where we are at right now, where the big auction houses like Heritage in the US are starting to devour some of the smaller auction houses because we cannot compete. It's impossible. So when I talk to people that want to consign their collections, which I think it's great for collectors nowadays that want to sell their collections, that you actually have an opportunity to make more money than you did in the past. So I think it's a good thing, but I think that it's very important for the longevity of the auction market that people, sellers, understand that in order to have a nice diverse group of auction houses available to you, you must pay a seller's price. You must pay a seller's premium. And to just, go and treat every auction house the same, you would treat Heritage or a company like NAC or Nomos or what have you, and that they're all the same is a mistake. And so I will have collectors that I've worked with, that I've helped put their coins in auction, will literally just jump from one auction house to the next and say, well, this person offered me this, well, what are you gonna do? Instead of looking at the environment to say, where is the best place for my coins to sell? Where are my coins going to benefit the most? Is it going to help to have my coins all encapsulated and sold to the buyers of a lot of the heritage buyers? They appeal to a certain crowd, or to the people that like to hold their coins. And you need to look at the bigger picture. And so I think that's actually affected the market dramatically today.
I think you made a very, very decent point, a very important point. I also would love to ask a question to Philip. When your father went into the market and founded its company, was it still, did he need money to do it? Did he bring money in order to found the company, or not? It was big money, or it's because I'm thinking of all the small dealers who are now going into the market with just 1 or 2 collections and start on the internet. And was something like that possible at your father's time?
Yeah, I have to say, he started actually with stamps, and he came to the coins. He started very, very small with the first coins, with the 5 mark coins actually, from Germany. And so he saw that he could make money out of it, and therefore he stepped more and more into the business. But it grew very slowly, step by step. He had a store in Hamburg, the city center, and he only had 1 employee. So that was the beginning of Emporium Hamburg. Nowadays we are 80 people, and we do everything in the coin industry. We have an auction, we have modern retail market, we do have still our store downstairs. So we try to give the collector, the coin collector, the best opportunities in having nowadays. Yeah.
And I think that brings us to another topic I would like to address in this round table, because another issue that was mentioned again and again was the mass of commemorative coins that are issued right now. And I have a question for Falk. You have quite good contacts with the Swiss Mint, as we have seen with your latest products. How many days and people does it take to strike the circulation points of all of Switzerland for 1 year?
So I was lucky 2 weeks ago. I did a tour at the Swiss Mint, and there were 2 things. The first thing is you only need a few people to create currency money. The machines are doing a lot. And I was standing like duck by duck, the machine was, when it was €5 or 5 Swiss francs, it was, oh my god, I would, like a waterfall of money was coming. So it was amazing. It was not like, collecting coins and everything was stepped and manual work, it was, so it was crazy. Well, I think it will be, machines like that could probably do millions of coins in just a few days, I guess.
Yeah.
So
you can't have a mint for just a few days.
That's why they need to sell collect. I mean, we are pretty close contact with Swiss Mint, and they recently increased their activities in selling collector coins, because honestly they said, hey, there are less and less people using coins. We have the machines, we have the people, we have the heritage. We can make money with collector coins, so that's why they now increase the amount of collector coins. And I think this is something which is not only valid for Switzerland, that with less need of currency coins, there's more potential for those mints going into the collector coins.
I would like to ask Philip this question. How do you see the market? How many new coins, contemporary coins are showing up every year? That's more, and that's, or can you describe a little bit about the modern market, what it looks like now?
Yeah, nowadays it's a very high, a lot of new issues. So we have to take care that the series which are in the market, that they are stable, that they are well known, and that not too many new series are coming out. I see it from other mints. Sometimes they try to put more coins into the market, but the collector is not able to follow them, and that is very sad to see, to be honest. There are other mints they take care of. They try to keep the program very stable. They are not touching the vintage. They are trying to follow with the customer the road, and that is the key for successful collecting coins. And this is how I think we should react. And we always have to have the basis for the collector. As long as they can follow us, it's good. But when we are bringing too much releases out, then we are wrong.
And I fully agree. Whenever I walk the floor in Berlin, I say, "Ooh, it's a new mint." Oh, it's another mint. And most of them are not mints at all. And I think there will be consolidation soon, because everybody wants a piece of the cake, but the cake is getting smaller. So it's not getting bigger. It's rather smaller. And the more people are eating from the cake, it's more difficult. So I think the environment of companies releasing, minting, selling coins will change over the next years. Because
when you mint your own coins, is it all through your partner in Germany, or if you're working with the Swiss, you do the design, the Swiss do the minting themselves, or are you guys having full control over it?
Okay, so the Swiss coin, so all our coins are done with a long-term production partner, being Schmidt. So all the coins are done there, and we are selling them across the world. So our sales partners are from US to Mongolia. So, and yes, at the moment, biggest share is in US, because this is more booming than Europe, but also Asia. So it's not only Germany, it's actually one of the smaller countries. But we have only one production partner, because we believe that at the moment, the expectation we have on the coins regarding quality, this partner fulfills it. And this is part of our DNA. If you're happy with the partner, don't change it.
So we are coming to the end of this round table. Please, if there are any other questions from the public, we are happy to answer, and you have the most eminent specialists here who can answer your questions. So please take advantage of it if you want and ask them. And if not, they are still available, so they will be around all the time. And they are happy to talk to you. And so we thank you for the attention. We thank you for coming. And I hope you enjoyed this little discussion. I've learned myself a lot from it. I think we have to think about why things happen in order to take advantage of this development.
I remember my question from last. So, as an Iranian coin collector, I know the predicaments that the United States Homeland Security creates. As collectors and dealers get wary of operating within the boundaries of the United States, do you see a rise on the Asian side and in China? Do they have their own restrictions, or do you see the ancient market also will have a big uptick on that side of the world?
That's a really difficult question, and I don't know the answer to it, obviously. But I do think that the situation, like with the MOUs and things like that, I really believe that it is a line drawn in the sand, that what I said earlier, and that it doesn't mean that we can't collect, we just need to do responsible collecting. And that is where the trade and the collectors need to work together with maybe people across the aisle that we haven't really worked with so much. And we need to find common ground, because I believe that, you know, coins are ubiquitous, they're plentiful, and there should be some understanding between governments and private collectors on the flow of coins into different countries. So I don't think collecting is going to go away, and I guess that in certain places, like in the Asian markets, that it'll start to grow in popularity, but that was going to happen no matter what. I think that is just happening, whether or not there's a tax in certain countries by the United States or what have you. I think that popularity for collecting in Asia was going to happen regardless. I just think that people just need to remember that word responsibility, and to try to buy responsible, and for dealers and auction houses to make sure that the coins that they put in their auctions are responsibly in the market and not something that is questionable. And until we change, because not all dealers follow by the rules, I think that we'll continue to have the problems that we have. But I think that collecting is never going to go away. Nobody is ever going to stop collecting because a government tells us that we can't. We'll find ways, and we just need to learn about that word responsibility and really take it to heart.
So once again, thank you. Collecting will continue. I love that message. And I love this numismatic world in all its varieties. Thank you for being here, and I hope we will see each other next year again.